on to the next thing in the garden, which are the bees. And these bees are very active right now. You can see them all at the hive. This is our latest project. My husband Mark is a North Carolina certified beekeeper. He trained and took the course with the Craven Pamlico Beekeepers Association in 2012. And he expressed an interest in 2011 in starting to have some hives. And as he started to hear from people about how their hives worked and what went on with their hives, everybody spoke about losing their first year hives, and it was just a very common thing. And so he thought that he would train with the beekeepers before he got his first hive. So he started attending their monthly meetings, which their meeting is the third Tuesday of every month at 7 o'clock at Cooperative Extension. And they're about to start a class in September that will be the new season of trainees for certification. And last year Mark took the class and spent a lot of time with the beekeepers, and you get to learn from the existing hives that they have at Cooperative Extension. And he found that even with all the training, we picked up 2 packages of bees, and a package of bees comes with 10,000 bees in it and a queen. And the queen is a queen that was not created by the bees that are in that package. There are people that specifically raise queen bees, and it's a technique that I'm not even going to try to speak to. We should talk to the Beekeepers Association about that. But this queen bee comes in the package, and she comes in her own little box, and they put a candy, a little mint. There's a hole in the box, and then this mint is stuffed into it, just like you'd get in a restaurant, a little peppermint. And the bees eat from one side and the queen eats from the other side, and by the time the mint is done, the theory is that the bees have become accustomed to this queen's scent and they accept her as their queen, and your hive can be successful. Well, this group typically gets a head start on their beekeeping by purchasing packages that come out of Georgia, because the queens develop a little bit earlier there. And this year we all went the first weekend in April and picked up our packages and set up the hives, and we lost our queens. And it turned out that the cool spring had affected the development even of the queen bees in Georgia. So many of the beekeepers who brought packages this year found that they lost their hives because the queens did not succeed. So this hive originated in Harlow. There was a swarm that occurred there, and the beekeepers got a call to please come and remove this swarm. And because we were first-year beekeepers and had lost our hives and were very interested in getting going again, the association brought us this swarm of bees. And so we started out with a queen that had been created by her own bees, and so she was immediately part of the hive, and we found them to be very gentle, and it's been a very successful hive. It makes me think that wild bees may be more desirable than some of the bees that you can purchase, and having the opportunity to have collected a swarm was very fortunate for us. So this is our first year hive. They say the first year, just because of the size of the hive, isn't quite large enough yet. It takes all that the bees can do to produce their own honey to get them through the winter. So we shouldn't necessarily expect to have any honey for ourselves until next year. And Mark was just checking it earlier today and has discovered that he's almost ready to add some more frames to the top, but not quite. It's going to be another few weeks, and then we'll put some frames up there. So the only other thing that we might want to take a look at is I've had such crummy luck with all of the tomatoes that we grew, except for this little cherry that volunteered itself here, and it's in our compost pile. There's the compost, which is consisting mostly of used chicken hay and garden waste. And careful not to put diseased leaves in there. When I say garden waste, I'm talking about clippings from leaves and pine straw and perennial plants and shrubs. I'm not putting any leaves from diseased tomatoes or any leaves from diseased cucurbits into there. You can usually put the peppers at the end of the year. You can put a lot of the salad greens at the end of the year, but you don't want to put anything that has disease that could continue to reoccur in your garden. So in that compost pile, we have self-seeded a little tomato. So the tomato scraps themselves can go in there, but the leaves shouldn't go in there. And this little cherry is just loaded with fruit, loaded with flower, not a stick of disease on it. So we're interested to see what happens with this plant and how tasty those tomatoes that are starting to ripen down in there are. This is the beginnings of the first ripening. So you can see that the whole season is late. We're at the end of July and just not having as much success in this garden or as much early production in this garden as I would see in other years. So the only other thing we might want to check out in this little urban farm is our newest addition, that is a turtle pond. And we had a little yellow-bellied slider that one of our cats decided to bring us as a gift in 2010. And she lived in a very small 50-gallon tank or pond outside, and the first winter we brought her in and put her into a tank, and she did very well there, and she got a little bigger in the second year, so our tank became a 50-gallon tank, and she got even bigger yet, and so she got herself a pond this year. And we can see she's got her little head sticking up over there, and just on the other side of the falls, that little dot between the falls and the log, that's Marlin. And Marlin is relaxing and enjoying a nice cool summer day with a breeze, and many times we'll find her out on the log, so maybe next time we're filming we'll see her. So the pond has now had some plants put around it, and it'll be fun to see what this looks like in a couple of years, because it will be a virtual jungle. We've got some black magic elephant ears in the water, and we've got a Pretoria or a Bengal tiger canna lily there, and I believe that there's water hyacinth and pickerel there in the center. This is another canna lily in the back, and we've got some iris growing a little bit here and there, two different varieties, a flag iris and I think a Siberian iris, and oh, I'm blank. We have, this begins with a P, and sometimes it's referred to as an umbrella plant. It's a papyrus, P-A-P-Y-R-U-S, papyrus plant. And again, it's sometimes referred to as an umbrella plant because the way the foliage comes out and around, it looks like the spokes of an umbrella. So this has been a fun afternoon in the garden here, and this is again the end of July, and let's see what we end up with as we get to the middle of August. We'll take some more pictures and show some more fruiting and see how the garden holds up as the heat and humidity continue.